I had suspicions that I was pregnant, and I was okay with the idea of being pregnant, but the reality hit me like a brick. I had so many issues and stuff coming up in my mind, and I couldn't move past that. I was completely freaked out about being a mum. I couldn't deal with it, and for the next few weeks after finding out that I was having a baby, I was a mess. I was a complete mess. We were worried about financial issues. We knew that once our baby came, we would have to sell our house. But there were a few issues with that. We still had our family living with us, and we couldn't just boot them out. So we knew that we couldn't sell the house until they left. And our car was starting to break down, and we didn't have a lot of money. We'd also arranged to have a trip overseas, and we'd booked it quite a bit in advance in order to get cheap tickets. But the problem was that we realised that our baby would be born 6 weeks before we were meant to go. So she would have been 6 weeks old when we were going on this trip overseas, and we booked tickets that we couldn't get a refund for, and our insurance didn't cover the birth of a child. That was considered a normal part of life, and you just kind of get on with it. All of a sudden, when I could see these other expenses coming, like a car and all these other things, just the holiday seemed less important, and I felt like it was a real waste of money. And then there was also just the regular issues of, will I be a good mum, and how will I be able to raise this child, and how am I supposed to eat right and do the right things in pregnancy? I was already 6 weeks pregnant at the time, and I thought, what if I've already stuffed up, And so I was a mess. I was a complete mess. But I committed myself to God. I did know the Lord, and I knew the theory of all His promises to me about, being there for me and all this stuff, but I'd never before applied that to my life. And so now was the real sticking point in my experience, I guess, where I had to make a choice. I needed to commit myself to Him and start to trust Him properly, trust Him with everything. There are so many promises in the Bible for mothers and for parents, and just I needed to learn to claim them and to trust the Lord. And so my husband and I both recommitted ourselves to Jesus, and we started out on this journey where, every time I would eat a meal, I would pray and ask the Lord to bless the food for not just me, but for my child as well. And He did that. Despite my being sick at the time and not realising that I had celiac disease, He still managed to get enough nutrients into my child and into me to have a healthy pregnancy. And that was, to me, a real miracle that I didn't realise till after the event. My father-in-law came home from work one day, and he'd been made redundant from his job, which at the time seemed really terrible. He was 8 months off retirement, but it turned out to be really great because his employer paid him enough redundancy pay to last him until 1 month before he officially retired. So they pretty much moved out in one day, and all of a sudden our house was available to sell, which was really exciting. And so we put it on the market, and it got sold very quickly, which was great, and at a price that was amazing for the market at the time. Our holiday, which we had planned to have, we couldn't, as I said before, we couldn't claim insurance for having a baby. Once my father-in-law had been made redundant, we realised that our insurance papers allowed a payout if one of the party who we were travelling with was made redundant. And we were planning on travelling as a family. We booked it all together. And so all of a sudden, as well, because of this event, we had an opportunity to get our money back and go for a holiday at another time, And so that came through as well, and we got everything back on our tickets except for the excess, which was just amazing. It was amazing. The Lord took care of every single one of my issues that I was stressed to the max out about when I was early in pregnancy. And so He blessed our child, and she grew really happy and healthy, and I had a good delivery. And it's very easy to feel alone. And, I can't always call my husband and say, Emily's doing this and that, because if he's at work, he can't help me. And so, that help, that support is not always there when I need it the most. But knowing the Lord has really meant that because I know that He loves Emily even more than me, she is His daughter first and foremost, and she is on loan to me in this world. And because I know He loves her and because I know He loves me, He is there for me at a moment's notice. And so if there's a meltdown happening or some kind of problem, I just have to pray and I see amazing results. And so the Lord is just my friend and my helper. And He is teaching me every day. As Emily grows, my knowledge is growing, my own self is growing as I walk with Him closer every day. And it's an experience that I wouldn't trade for the world. And I'm so happy that God brought me through that experience and that period of self-doubt so that I could know to turn to Him and not rely on my own strength. Because if I relied on my own strength, I would not be here today.